righteousness, the great unchangeable I am, the King of glory and of grace. Because the sinless Savior died, my sinful soul is counted free. For God the just is satisfied to look on him and pardon me, to look on him and pardon me. Because the sinless Savior died, my sinful soul is counted free. For God the just is satisfied to look on him and pardon me, to look on him and pardon me. Created a mountain and you set a spark that grew into a flame and burns deeply for you. Overwhelm me, take me from this place and put me in the place where you are. Shake the ground I stand on. I want to be dependent on you, on only you. Thy kingdom come more, thy will be done, Lord, in all that you have made. Give us our daily bread. Forgive us all our debt, as we owe to the same. And lead us not into any temptation, but save us from our sin. Thine is the kingdom, thine is the power, thine is the When you speak, darkness has to bow, confusion has its final hour. When you speak, mountains rise and fall, it tears down every wall around me. When you speak, breathe upon the dust, you come alive in us. When you speak, you silence every fear. We feel your spirit here around us. Let there be lights, let there be lights, until it fills up every space. Come and have your way. Let there be lights, let there be lights. Just one word and I am changed. Come and have your way.
Come and have your way. Let there be light. Let there be light. Just one word and I am changed. Come and have your way.
Good morning. Welcome to State Street. We hear the voice of God calling, love your neighbor as yourself. We feel the Spirit moving among us, moving us to acts of compassion and justice. We know the love of Jesus. We love because Christ first loved us. Come, worship God together. Come, let us serve our God who calls us by name. Welcome to State Street Community Church. Come and worship with us.
Be still and know that the Lord is in control. Be still, my soul. Stand and watch as giants fall. I won't be afraid, 'cause you are here. You silence all my fear. I won't be afraid. You don't let go. Be still, my heart, and know I won't be afraid. Be still and trust what the Lord has said is done. Find rest, don't strive. Watch as faith and grace align. I won't be afraid. You are here. You silence all my fear. I won't be afraid. You don't let go. Be still, my heart, and know I won't be daily love and mercy, your peace and kindness will follow me, will follow me.
Hold me now in the hands that created the heavens. Find me now where the grace runs as deep as your scars. You pulled me from the clay. You set me on a rock. You called me by your name, made my heart whole again. Lifted up, and my knees know it's all for your glory. I might stand with more reasons to sing than to fear. You pulled me from the clay. You set me on a rock. You called me by your name and made my heart whole again. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through, and sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. And that grace holds the ground where the grave did. All my shame remains, left for dead in your wake. You crashed those age-old gates. You left no stone unturned. You stepped out of that grave and shouldered me all the way. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through, and sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. Healed and forgiven. Look where my chains are now, and death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds that ground. Your grace holds me now. 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 Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. but you love my whole heart through. Now sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. Healed and forgiven. Look where my chains are now. 'Cause death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds that around. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now.
Father God, we give you our whole hearts. We lift up these words to you, knowing that you're good. May we lean into your goodness, into your presence, and just open ourselves up to who you are. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen. Come, tear down the walls I built up, every wall I built up, every wall I built up. 'Cause you deserve every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart. And Lord, I am trusting that you are a faithful Father, and all that you have, it is good. You're a generous giver, your love's like no other. Won't you come and break through to me over and over and over again? I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart lay before you again. Over and over and over again, I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart lay before you again. And Lord, I am trusting that you are a faithful Father, and all that you have, it is good. You're a generous giver, your love's like no other. Won't you come and break through to me over and over and over again? I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart lay before you again. Come, tear down the walls I built up, every wall I built up, every wall I built up. 'Cause you deserve every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart. You are so Come, tear down the walls I built up, every wall I built up, every wall I built up. 'Cause you deserve every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart. Amen. You may be seated.
Good morning. How are you? Amazing. Oh, good for you. Uh, if you are new with us today, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. The coffee is so good today. We don't have cold brew. Did anybody notice? And it's my fault. I want to publicly apologize. I forgot to make it. Usually I come in on Saturdays and I make the cold brew for everyone, and I forgot. And I'm taking bullets right now for our baristas because I don't want them to get yelled at by angry cold brew drinkers. So, because you guys are the ones that are hopped up on so much caffeine that when you don't get your fix, it might get ugly. So if you're upset there's no cold brew, blame it on me. And also, just drink hot coffee. It's like depressing outside. Join the rest of us. So, so glad you're here this morning. We are finishing a series. If you're new with us, you came on the last day of a series. What are you doing? And we started a series 4 weeks ago on parenting called Because I Said So. Here's the good thing. We're glad you're here today, and next week we start a new series. So you can come next week at the beginning of a series and be a part of this. But even if you weren't with us at the beginning of this series, I think today's going to be good for you. We've been talking about parenting, and not just like biological parenting, but how we can help mold and shape our kids to be people of robust spirituality, so that they can see in us a real and authentic faith, so that they can hopefully model that faith as they grow. But we have to give them something to model worthy of replicating. I do want to, before we get into the rest of this message, I do want to thank a couple people today. We've been getting some volunteers over at Brighton Street that have been working on our Brighton Street green space with Nate Loucks, my dad, who's running that project. We always could use a couple more people. So what happens often is it happens during the day, and we don't usually know if we're going to be over there doing some stuff until the day before often. But what we're doing over there is we're building concrete boxes, and we're not doing it. We're having people build the concrete boxes, but we're getting the property ready for these boxes to get built, setting lines, these kind of things. It can get dirty. It can get a little messy. The labor's not terribly hard, but it can be a little laborious. But if you'd like to help with that, if you'd like to be a part of that, let me know. If you got kind of the availability to help kind of at the last minute, the day before notice, for a couple hours, let me know. And we could probably always use you. But like I said, it is during the day, and I know many people work and have jobs and stuff. I'll give you kind of a look at what I took these this morning, actually. This here is our Brighton Street green space. If you've not been there yet, it's on the corner of Pulaski. Is it Pulaski or Pulaski? Pulaski, right? Okay. Pulaski and Washington. And if you don't know about our Brighton Street green space, Brighton. Washington turns into Brighton, doesn't it? It's on the corner of Brighton and Pulaski. If you don't know about it yet, let me fill you in here. This is where the Lennox Dairy property used to be, and it is an old factory space where the dairy used to be, and we tore the dairy down and kept a small space open for kept a small space up, which is our Education Resource Center, which is probably 95% done. We are going to have this mural in this Education Resource Center that Mr. Roger Clace is painting right now, and it's going to be wonderful. It's going to give kind of honor the tradition of the history of the place of Lennox Dairy. But right now, what we're doing is building all of this stuff. It's about an 1.5 acre area in downtown LaPorte that we're going to have gardens, and we're going to have a beautiful pavilion and nice yard space. And we're going to give it to the community. Now, our garden leaders, our garden directors, John and Jane Slater, will be gardening here with our kids. Rich and Linda Siri will still be at Jackson Street. We'll have both gardens going next year. Oops. But, hold on. Perfect. But these here are the garden boxes for our kids garden, right? First, is that kids garden first? Community garden first, and then these are kids garden back here. And so we're going to continue to build those going back, and it's going to look beautiful. And the nice thing about these, and some people have asked, why do concrete? Well, because Loucks are concrete people. And also because these are going to last. One of the things that we try to do in any of our projects, we have people here that help with our garden each summer. And they put in countless hours, some more than others, but countless hours. And one of the things we like to do with any of our projects is to make sure that maintenance is minimal. And when you have to replace garden boxes pretty often, maintenance becomes pretty high. This week, John and Jane, Jane emailed me a picture of a garden, community garden. Where was that? Manistee. They had sent me just last year you sent me a community garden picture. It was beautiful. And then this year there was nothing there because they're not doing it anymore. And one of the reasons why so many community gardens fizzle out is because of maintenance. It takes so long to upkeep the property. It takes so much time. So it still takes a lot of time and effort and energy from our volunteers, but it takes a little bit less if we build it right in the beginning. A little more expensive, but a little less time, which is for us worth it. So very excited about it. People have asked, what do we have left to do fundraising-wise? We still have to raise money for some of it. We don't have to raise any money for the garden part. We will be planting there next year. But we have a beautiful pavilion we plan on building there. One of the things I love to do, honestly, I just love it, is, and it started with this church, and it went to the PAC Center, to Jackson Street, to Brighton Street, is to show resurrected things in dead places. That dead things can come back to life again. And so if you go over to our Jackson Street Community Garden over on Jackson and Jefferson, you see resurrection. You see new life. What was once a dilapidated parking lot is now a vibrant community garden that people just love, and they come and look at it. And we have people asking us from all over the region, asking how you did this. And I always tell people it's based on a lot of hard work from volunteers and a vision for new life. And so this space here is in an area where many people don't even go to, quite frankly. You might not even have a reason to drive by it. But it's not been a space that has received a lot of investment into it. And we're going to make something that is dead come back to life again. And so we want to do it right. We don't want to shortchange it. We want to show what a resurrected space looks like. And so we still have to raise some funds for it, but it's going to be beautiful once it's done. And I can't wait for you guys to see it all. Again, if you'd like to know more, talk more about it, let me know. So I want to get into the series today and talk a little bit more about some final thoughts on parenting. But before I do that, I want to first ask your forgiveness if in this series you ever thought that I was being overly simplistic or trite in any parenting advice, because that was never my intention. Because if anything, I think parenting is so difficult that it's hard to narrow it down to just kind of axioms on what you should and should not do. And things can always be difficult in such a way that you have a hard time applying different truths to your unique situation. Parenting is like a marriage in that kids are unique, and the only way to figure out how to parent effectively and like run a marriage effectively is to figure out the rhythm of a unique person together. Kids are unique. What I do and how I parent might look very different than how you parent and what you do, because your kids are different than mine. And so I want to honor those of you who are parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, and those of you who are educators and helping young kids. And hopefully you know that this is hard stuff. Give yourself grace. Give yourself compassion. There is not a simplistic formula that can kind of be applied to every situation, to every kid. If there is, I don't have it figured out yet. Right? They give you children and they don't tell you what to do with them. It's like, okay, here's your child. Have fun. What? I remember being so unprepared Neil will tell you, we've talked about doing parenting series here. This is going on our 10th year, and I've always pushed back against it because I always felt that, who wants to hear about how to parent from a guy that has young kids that hasn't figured it out yet? That's just a bad thing. And we finally got to a place where I'm like, okay, I might know maybe 4 things that I can talk about, but very few. I remember with our first, Nora, who is 11 in middle school this year, she, my wife had some kind of like I think she was preeclamptic, and she had a couple other things, but we went to a final kind of, I think it was at 38 or 39 weeks, maybe, I forget, but we went to the doctor. This is how I know. We went to the doctor, and then they sent us to the hospital afterwards because they said, you need to have this baby. So there wasn't a lot of preparation. We didn't go to the doctor that day knowing that my wife was going to, go to the hospital. We went to the doctor thinking that they would tell us, okay, everything looks good. We're going to wait a little bit longer and, see how things go. Now, on our second, Finley, everything was scheduled and everything went as planned. And so I remember my wife, we're getting ready to go to the hospital, and I had time to plan. Now, I'm a planner. And I remembered that in the last pictures, when we took pictures after the newborn, after Nora was born, I wasn't really ready. I didn't have, decent clothes on or anything. So this one, when Finley was getting ready, I come down and my wife's, we got our bag, and she said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Why are you dressed up?" I said, "Well, we took pictures last time when the baby was born, and I kind of look like a schlub. I want to at least prepare effectively this time." He's like, "You got a dress shirt and a sweater on. You don't dress that nicely going to church." And I remember thinking, yeah, but I don't want to be the one looking bad in the picture, right? She's like, "Why are you dressed up?" Because I didn't know. I was just like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know. I don't know. Should I not dress up? Do you want me to wear a robe? I don't know. I don't know what to do and what not to do. I'm just kind of panicking, and I don't want to show it. So I just dressed up because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Parenting is hard. They don't tell you what to do and not to do. I learned from last time that I look like a schlub in the pictures, so we might as well dress a little nicer this time. And I'm just like, that's not what a woman that just gave birth wants, is a husband that looks really good and they're dapper, and as they're taking pictures and they just look like they went through war. And parenting's hard. They don't tell you what to do. They don't tell you, now you have other people telling you what to do, but there's no, 300-page manual, and they say, read this. This is what you ought to do with your child. Make sure you don't do this, don't do that. I remember, again, the nurses, how not gentle they were. Because, a baby's born, and you're like, this is the most fragile thing I've ever seen. And they're throwing it up, doing twirls, and you're like, are you sure? But they know, they know, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. So give yourself grace as you parent. Understand that you're learning to parent as your children are learning how to become mature. You are maturing as well. This is not a process where you have arrived and you're bringing them to where you are. You are both growing. You are both receiving. You are both learning. It's just they're relying on you for help. They're relying on you to help point the way. So as you learn and as you grow, give yourself grace, but also understand you have an awesome opportunity in front of you as a parent and grandparent and aunt and uncle to help shape and mold another generation. So we've been using this verse as kind of our central verse for this series. Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Apostle Paul tells this community, keep on doing the things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, and the God of peace will be with you. So we've been thinking about that our children and our grandkids and the kids around us don't just hear us, they don't just see us, right? They don't just learn from us, but they also receive things from us. They look at the world that they're in, and they look at how you're navigating it. They look at how you value things. We would like to say that everything is so simple that just do what I say and everything will be fine, but that's not how humanity works. We don't just do what you say, we also learn and receive and hear things in other ways. This extends to any relationship you have. Communication is not just a verbal thing. Communication is also in how you act. It's also in how you respond to things. It's in all of those things. How you choose to use your time on your own, you are communicating something. How you spend your money, you are communicating something. How you deal with chaos, you are communicating something. Even when you don't verbally say it, you are communicating something. And so we're trying to understand that, are we communicating the right things in the things that we don't just say, but in the way that we live? You chose to be here today. You are communicating something about the value of spiritual growth in your life. You are communicating that you find that valuable. You are communicating something that you decided to not stay in your bed on a day where, quite frankly, the bed looks really good. Now, some of you are streaming online with us, and you are in bed, and we are so jealous. But those of you that are here, you communicated something just by your presence. Here's what we don't want. We don't want, in this church, in this community, in this faith expression, we do not want children who view spirituality as a chore. And oftentimes that can be it. I have a dear friend who's looking for a church in the Oak Brook area in Illinois. And he's Catholic, and he said, the mass I go to, it just seems like everyone goes because they're supposed to go, but they're just looking at their watch waiting for it to end. He said, I don't want that. I want some kind of vibrancy. He's like, even the priest looks like they're bored. And so I want some kind of vibrancy. I want something that people are wanting to be there for. That they're wanting to be involved in that group, even if they don't necessarily want to always be there on Sunday morning, because quite frankly, you're tired. You had a long night last night. And there are days where you come because you know it's good to be here, but you're here because of the community, because of the people you're doing life with. He said, I want that. Children shouldn't view spirituality as a chore. This is not a chore. It's not something you do. It's a part of who you are. So what I try to do with my kids, rather imperfectly, is try to help them understand that their spirituality is not just a compartment. It's not like, hey, I'm spiritual in the same way that I am a piano player, or in the same way that I like to watch Pokemon. No, you are a spiritual being that understands cosmically that there is a force for love in this universe, that dead things come back to life, that restoration and resurrection and redemption is real and ultimately the better way, and it impacts everything. It impacts the way that you pursue meaning and purpose and perspective. Right? I mean, this is the three things we want for our kids, right? We want perspective, we want meaning, we want purpose. We want perspective, which is where they are, right? Understanding where they are in this universe, where they are, and who they are, and just kind of or just like, I understand that I have more than many other people, or that my family is such that it is what it is. That I have maybe, let's say, a mom or a dad or two parents, or I have been adopted or anything, but by somebody that loves me, that cares for me. Trying to remain perspective about what you have and what you do not have. Perspective is hard for everyone, not just children. It's better to give than to receive is a statement of perspective. And then meaning, right? I think one of the deepest sources of depression in seasons, not clinical maybe depression based on kind of biological components, but just seasons that are chaotic for us, is a wrestling with meaning. Who we are. Who are we? One of the things I tell people about the strengths of my daughter Nora is she's very comfortable with who she is. Way more so than I am at 37. And so one of the things is she feels a sense of meaning already. She knows what she's about. And then finally, purpose. So perspective, meaning, and purpose. Where they are, who they are, and what they are doing in this world. Purpose. What are you doing in this world? Here's the thing is, I'm learning, is if we want our kids to have perspective, meaning, and purpose, and if we want those things informed by a robust spirituality of our Christian expression, then we have to wrestle with those three things as well. What is your perspective? How do you understand meaning? How do you understand purpose? Do you have a perspective? Do you understand your meaning? Do you understand your purpose? Do you understand where you are in this world? Do you understand who you are? Do you understand what you're doing here? And with that in mind, we want children to be connected and grounded spiritually as they navigate these three things, right? This is what State Street tries to provide everyone. Listen, I can't give you simple answers to complex problems. I can't even tell you what to believe. What I can hopefully do, and what the community can hopefully do, your friends here and your family here and our children in their Sunday school classes, we can introduce you to a robust spirituality that helps you navigate these things on your own. Not here. I mean, if you're only navigating perspective, meaning, and purpose on Sunday morning, there's a reason probably why you're struggling to find it. But we want our kids to kind of wrestle with a robust spirituality, and our teenagers and our adults, because if you have a perspective, if you have meaning and you have purpose, your life is finally well lived. There's a study by Jana Magruder, and if you have your app, under your sermon notes, you can see that there's a link to this study, or an interview rather, with Jana Magruder on Christianity Today. But there was a study where Jana Magruder interviewed 2,000 parents who are Christians whose children remained in the faith into adulthood. Because many Christians, and this isn't just Christianity, this is in Islam and other different kinds of faiths as well, many youth are leaving the faith of their family or their parents. And people ask, well, what about those who are staying? Why is that? And their parents modeled a faith worth following. Modeling. They said, I want to follow this. I want to do what you do because you seem to have a grasp on perspective, meaning, and purpose. You seem, even when I don't agree 100% with what you believe, or even though we have nuance in our beliefs on certain things or certain opinions, there seems to be a perspective and a meaning and a purpose that's admirable, that's honorable, that I want to follow. Over and over again, she found that people that stayed in the faith had a relationship as such that they looked at their parents and said, I want to model that expression of faith because it seems to inform them in ways that are helpful, not hurtful. I told you before, but yesterday I was reminded because I went to a birthday party for my cousin Mike Otwanowski. You know Mike and Rachel who come here probably. But their son had a birthday party, and so I took my boys over there. And one of the other boys there was from our Little League team, and so I knew him. And I was thinking about my time this season as coaching and had such a good time. I've told you about my experience coaching Little League. And we coached, they were 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And here's the thing, and Chris Fritzen, who was the head coach, who comes here, Chris would say, guys, we're practicing for 2 hours, but if you don't work on this stuff at home, you're only working on it here, you're not going to get better. And so make sure when you go home, and it doesn't have to be anything major, but, throw the ball around. Practice swinging. Even if you just throw it up in the air and catch it, just do that. Because he said, you have to practice. Now, kids also need guidance. They need more than just game day work in order to understand how the game's played. If they're only coming to practice, we would notice a difference in the kids that were practicing at home or just kind of thinking about it and doing it with their parents or with their friends at home, and those that just did it at the games. Because it was being modeled to them and they were practicing with other people, they became better at doing it when the game came. It's the same with our spirituality. If you are only modeling a faith that you find important on Sunday morning, but every other day your faith is not being modeled to your children in a helpful way, they will not be ready to embody that faith, or they will not want to embody that faith when game day comes. Because it's nothing that they saw that important to you, so why would they also do the same thing? Now, Israel, Old Testament, think about God's formation of a people, Israel, took it very seriously that faith needs to be modeled. So every morning and every night they'd wake up with a prayer, and it would remind them about the role that they have, right, to ground and connect their children to Yahweh. Because they knew that if your child was connected and grounded spiritually, that they would be able to navigate perspective, meaning, and purpose. But if you did not do that, which is what often happened when they would be taken over by some kind of tribe, and you'd go and the prophets would write, hey, don't forget to model your faith for your children, then their perspective and their meaning and their purpose went out the window. So then they would be reminded, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to say this. I want you to recite this. I want you to keep this on your heart. This is a section in Deuteronomy after the 10 Commandments, okay, in Deuteronomy 5. Moses is kind of coming to the end of his life, and he gives them a little bit of an advice. Hey, this is like his Brené Brown kind of book himself. He's saying, hey, this is what the well-lived life looks like. This is what flourishing looks like. And then Israel then took to saying this every morning and every night before they went to bed. And this is called what we call Shema. And Shema is just Shema Yisrael, which is Hear, O Israel. It's the beginning. Hear, the word hear in Hebrew is Shema. And it says this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your might, with the totality of your being. You shall love God. Keep these words that I am commanded you today in your heart. Recite them to your children and talk about them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. Hear, O Israel. So we have here how to live wholeheartedly according to Moses, right? Here's what Moses says. Listen, I'm at the end of my life. I'm going to narrow these things down. We've said a lot. We've talked a lot. We've been through a lot. Here's a couple things. Know that God is one. God is not some just ethereal, outside of existence or outside of our experience. No. The Lord our God is one, knowable. lovable, loving, connecting. And then also love God wholeheartedly with all who you are, of all of who you are. Connect to God, love. Now, it doesn't mean we don't trust God. It doesn't mean we don't worship God. But the word there that Moses wants to kind of focus in on, though, is love God. When the object of your affection is love and you love that thing, then you tend to want to spend more time with it. Love God wholeheartedly. Then live out your faith. Do these things, live these things, and then teach your children the ways of God. It's really interesting that this is like the narrowing of the focus for Moses, and then when Jesus comes, he quotes the same thing. When the Pharisees say, hey, Moses, or hey, Jesus, what's the most important thing in our faith? And he says, well, teacher, which commandment is the law is the greatest? He said to them, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Love. But also, in there is live in such a way, connect to God, live these truths out, that you are sharing them with the next generation, with your children. What often happens is I see parents get upset because their kids no longer want to follow the same faith expressions that they did. And what really happened was they gave them not a spirituality, they gave them a dogma. They gave them a set of beliefs and said, you need to affirm these same set of beliefs to a T. And I don't want you to explore things. Here is what you ought to believe in. Bam. And what happened is, oftentimes, is children became adults, and adults started wandering and thinking and said, I don't know if I believe in all of that. Or wait a second, maybe I disagree on this one point. And they did not inherit a spirituality to explore and wrestle with faith. They inherited a dogma. And when one little block in the dogma left, their whole thing came crumbling. This is why I talk a lot more about spirituality than dogma. I want our kids to be able to connect spiritually with God and with the world, to understand, like Ignatian spirituality, that you're looking for God in all of the world, and we're finding God in the face of others. We're finding God in how we help the poor, the widow, and the orphan. We're connecting with God in the ways that we build gardens for others. That, I don't know if you know this, Neil's probably never going to garden there. Are you? No. But we have the opportunity to connect to God in our service. To understand that God was tired too. Jesus was tired. Sometimes he got frustrated. But at the end of the day, he kept going. People followed. They gave their life for it, for a cause greater than themselves. We're teaching kids a robust spirituality just as much as we are what to believe in. It's how to think, how to wrestle, how to embrace the spiritual life. I truly believe that kids long to know what is real and true. I talk to teachers all the time that they just want to know what is real, what is true. Is this experience, right? I think I've shared this story before, but we have a lot of kids that we've reached out to in our neighborhood here that started coming. And some of these kids, they can come from a little bit more traumatic experiences. And I remember one not long after we started, and this boy is probably maybe a man now. I don't know. It's been 10 years. But his mother had been sexually abused, and I think the boy had been sexually abused. And the mother, to protect him, told him that all men sexually abuse children. So what does he do when he comes to church and he sees someone like Mark Secor in a classroom? Or he sees Pastor Nate. He wants to know what is real and true. Pastor Nate, Mark, my mom says all men do this. Do you? Because his experience with us would suggest that these people seem safe to me. They seem loving. They what is real and what is true? Our kids want to know it. They want to experience it. They want to feel it. But not just life, like not just like facts. They want to know emotionally what is real and what is true. What is real and what is true love? What is real and what is true forgiveness? What is real and what is true mercy? And so I encourage you as parents, bring your children into life. Help them embody a robust spirituality that is not just a Sunday morning thing, that is an everyday way to look at the world around you, that confronts injustices, that celebrates in victories. Don't lie or protect or ignore your children. Don't pretend like hurts don't happen. Don't pretend like life isn't hard. Life is hard. Your children will figure that out one day. But instead of denying it, introduce your kids to other things. Right? Don't deny that things are bad. Sometimes we have to confront it. Sometimes we have to say it. Yeah, it's not good. Things aren't good. Grandma got sick. It's not good. Don't deny it. It's okay to introduce your children, though, after that, after what is real and what is true, to other things. Yes, it's bad. But you know what is also true? Grace. Don't deny the bad things. Introduce them to the good things. Don't deny that anger or pain, but introduce your kids to forgiveness and healing as well. Don't deny disharmony or confusion or disunity, but introduce your children to the importance of peace and clarity. Don't deny your children that hate exists amongst people, but introduce your children to the better way of love. Let kids know that this is out here. This does exist. All of us have a temptation for the worst things in the world, but we embody a spirituality that connects us to the essence of love in this world, that allows us to love ourselves and love God and love others in such a way that meaning and purpose stems forth from it. Brene Brown says spiritual connection and engagement is not built on compliance, right? That you just do everything that you're told to do, but on the product of love, belonging, and vulnerability. I had a great conversation this week with someone, and she was telling me the thing that I love most about this church is I met people that helped me feel like I belong. In the midst of some of the emotional and mental trauma that I've went through, I knew I had a lot of friends that didn't understand that. They didn't want to understand it, but I found a place that I can belong. And I think on the back of belonging and love and vulnerability, spirituality can further and flourish. Because you can ask questions. You can admit the dark while you fight for the light. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, teachers, show a life that is real and true. It's okay to be sad. It is okay to show your kids life. It is okay to be honest with them that not everything and not every day is good. But what you can do is introduce your children that even though there is hate, even more so there is love. Even though there is judgment and people can be mean, even more so there is grace and mercy. Even though there's prideful people that want to tear you down, even more so there's a humility that sets us free. Show. Don't just tell. Show a life that is real and true. In light of this reality, in light of being real and true, what can you do then? Where do you go now? And we'll end with a couple of things. And if I can say anything about parenting, it's the same thing I would say about marriages, any relationship, about the church. It's just a real simple piece of advice. Be intentional. Be intentional. Right? Our ancestors in the faith woke up every day to say the Shema. They were intentional about it. Every night before they went to bed, intentional about it. Because this rhythm, this process, helped them remain intentional throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, to say it, it helped them be intentional about the ways that they did not do it right. Not in a, guilt-ridden way, but in a way that I want to live better tomorrow. Our time is limited, guys. Your time with your kids, your time with your grandkids, your time with your nieces and nephews is limited. You only have so much of it. Use it effectively. Be intentional. Don't think that you'll have another day or another time or another era of your life to do the things that you should do today. Maybe you've said yes to too many things. Maybe your kids are so overburdened with a schedule. Now, adults have a hard enough time saying no to things. Kids almost just can't. Because opportunities and experiences are what fuels them. But maybe you need to say no to something for them so that you guys can be intentional in your family to have time together. Maybe you've said yes to too many things. Maybe you have to just have a period of just shutting technology off, shut the world off for a night, a day, an hour together as you eat, as you talk, just so you can have intentional time together. So you can see each other, so you can show what is real and what is authentic. So you can hear each other, so you can receive from each other. Maybe you need to have more family movie nights. Your teenagers are like, I don't want, that's dumb. Nope, we're doing it. I know, it's dumb. I'm dumb, but we're going to do it together. Because we're intentional. And if you don't spend time, if you don't think about these things, if you don't do these things, the results that you want, the life that you want will never happen. Rhythm, every day, be intentional about a life of faith, about a robust spirituality. Remind your kids when you see the sunset on the way to school that God is good. Remind your kids as they came home and they had a hard day because there was a bully that grace and forgiveness is real. Remind your kids as they navigate otherness that it's better to be together than it is alone. Be intentional. The most important thing for you to do now as you go out of here with this series is for you to live out your faith in real ways. Not to worry about your children's faith, but for you to worry about your own faith. It will then impact them more than any Sunday school lesson they hear. Tell God's beautiful story of resurrection, restoration, and redemption in the ways that you live. In the ways that you love others, in the ways that you treat how you work. Maybe your family right now needs a little bit of a disruption. You need to interrupt it from the rhythm because your rhythm is not intentional. It's programmed, but it's not intentional. Maybe your family needs resurrected. I want to pray a prayer for all of our families here, whether they're biological, whether they're spiritual, and then we're going to enter into a time of Eucharist where we thank God for the good and gracious gift that is Jesus Christ. But for those of you that are struggling, because again, you've got hard families, we often do. You don't know how to best guide your child or love your child or forgive your child, or you just don't know anymore, know my heart is with you. It's hard. And there aren't simple answers sometimes to really complex problems. But know you're not alone. And we're going to enter into a time of Eucharist and give thanks for the good and gracious gift that is Jesus. And as we do that, we leave what we brought in at the table with Christ. So maybe it's just a hard reset for you today. Maybe your family just needs a little bit of a shock to the system. And it starts with you. It starts in the ways that you connect with God, the way that you look at this world, and the way that you embody your own purpose and meaning and perspective. And then allow a season for your kids to see the difference. So I'm going to pray for the families here, and then we're going to move into Eucharist. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our families, for those that have children, for those that don't. Father, you've built a spiritual family here, and I thank you for every person. But we know, Father, that our kids are looking, they are watching, they are receiving from us. May we embody a robust spirituality, not built on dogma, but built on this idea that you are alive and active and real and moving in the world. Help us to live out your beautiful story of resurrection and restoration and redemption. Help us to tell those stories in the ways that we live. Help us to share those stories with our friends and our family and our enemies. That you bring dead things back to life again. For those of us struggling with our kids and our family, not knowing if we've done it right or not, or wondering if we've messed things up, help us, Father. Give us a newness of life. Bring resurrection power to something that we perceive to be dead. Help us to wrestle with our own meaning and purpose. Help us to see our own perspective in this whole experience of life. Let us work on our own practices that help us embody a robust spirituality that's love and just. It's kind and merciful. It's understanding and empathetic. That looks like Jesus. And we thank you. I thank you for everyone here. Thank you for everyone streaming with us. We thank you for our kids in their classrooms. We thank you for our parents who maybe they parented imperfectly, but they gave us life. I pray these things in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Will you pray the Lord's Prayer with me? Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. The tables of Christ are open.
Praise him, all you sinners. Sing, oh, sing, you weary.
please stand with us before we dismiss. Hey, again, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. If you're new with us or if you're streaming with us for the first time, we hope you do that again next week as we start a new series about community and belonging and things like that. Also, at the end of this month, at the end of September, we have our fall event. And so I hope you can put that on your calendar and come out. It's just one gathering that we're having, a big cookout. Rhymer Educator is playing, and we're just going to have a good time being together. Lots of games that you can sign up for. When are we starting sign-ups for that? Next Sunday. Pastor Becky moved her daughter Grace out to Boston this week, so she's not been here, so this is all new to her. But she's just getting caught up. I probably was supposed to have that done, and I didn't. So, but anyway, we're not going to be passing a plate, but we do believe in honoring God with our finances. If you'd like to donate here to State Street, if you'd like to be a part of this mission, and honestly, to do what we do, it takes a lot. But when a lot of people give their own little bit, lots can get done. So if you want to give here to State Street, you can give in a couple different ways. You can go online to statestreet.tv, and you can set up an online giving account. And through your online giving account, and they're doing some more updates to that all the time, you can set up regular recurring giving if you want to just give once a week or once a month or the 15th of the month, whatever you want. Or you can go through our app. You can download our app. Or in the giving boxes out in the foyer, you can put a donation in there as well. And we're so grateful for every bit of donated goods we get here at State Street. Also, the book club, State Street Book Club is meeting on Thursday mornings, and they just started a new book. It's not too late to get involved with that. If you'd like to meet with a group of people here at State Street at 6:30 in the morning on Thursdays they just go over new books every time, or new books all the time. If you'd like to be a part of that, let me know. Reach out to us, and we'd love to connect you there. Hey, this week and every week, know that you are loved, that you have a place to belong here at State Street, but more importantly, you belong at the table of Christ, and that you are loved more intimately and more passionately by God than anything you could ever understand. So as you wrestle with that love, as you wrestle with the idea of embodying that love in the world, go out in the love of the Father, in the peace of His Son, Jesus Christ, and in the movement of the Holy Spirit. You are dismissed. Peace be with you.